Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're about to get into a movie that was recommended to me called RRR on Netflix. It stands for, dang, I just had it. It's R, first R, and then it's Revolt. It's War, Revolt. Something. Revolt. Yeah, War, Revolt. Either way, I did something a little bit differently this time. I watched the movie, and as I was watching the movie, I stopped because it's like a 3 hour movie that felt longer. So as I was watching the movie, I stopped to record my reaction and summaries to the movie as it was progressing. So you're literally gonna watch me watch the movie, but not watch me watch the movie. Does that make sense? Awesome. If you have already seen the movie, great. We're going to reminisce together. If you haven't seen the movie but you're okay with spoilers, please continue. Um, anyway, that's all my warnings. Without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so we're starting off in a village with a little girl doing a henna tattoo on this random white lady who I'm assuming has some kind of power or money due to her husband. And she likes it so much, or she likes the little girl so much, or likes the fact that the little girl is Indian. I don't know. Um, so she basically buys the girl from the mama, takes her away, kills the mama because the mama tries to stop her from taking her little girl, right? And then next thing I know, I'm in a mob with this police officer, and I have no name, so don't ask me what they are. And he is like going like I don't even know, like ninja something, out here trying to get this guy who threw a rock for his chief because he's working for the British, I'm assuming. Um, and so he is like literally hitting people with a stick. Be back, an entire mob got hit, slapped, stepped on, choked out, and he came back with the guy. And then he doesn't get his reward, most likely because he's Indian, and this is the British occupancy of India. So they can't give an award for superb, exemplariness to an Indian because it has to go to the white people. Um, but yeah, that was fire. Not gonna lie, kind of excited to finish. Okay, so Water follows Raju and Akhtar. I'm so bad at that. Raju is the police officer and Akhtar is the shepherd. The shepherd is the protector of the village that used to be the home of the girl that got taken by the white people. Okay? And so the the white lady who took the girl, has tasked police officer with finding the shepherd, right? Who's looking for the girl. His job, the police officer, is to find the shepherd. Dead, he gets a bounty. Alive, he gets promoted to officer because he got skipped over from being officer in the first part, right? And then the shepherd is hiding his identity. So he's getting beaten up by the police officers because they think he did him. They think that he did them wrong when he didn't. It's the fragility of an ego. Let me tell you, okay? And so basically, the shepherd is out here searching for this little girl while the police officer is searching for the shepherd, right? Summarize, they ended up meeting by saving this little boy in this like extremely dramatic like jump over a bridge with the rope, get caught in oil fire from a train that crashed type situation. And it's just so beautifully dramatic. And I'm actually having a lot of fun. Someone told me I was gonna have a lot of fun watching this. I'm having a lot of fun watching this. Um, and so I think we're on the three R. So it's Rise, Roar, Revolt, right? 1920 India. See, so much detail is coming as the movie progresses. So that's why I did it in sets because I was gonna forget. This movie's 3 hours long. And so Rise, yeah. And so we meet the shepherd, right? By this again very dramatic CGI, both bad and good looking wolf tiger scenario, where he is trying to capture the wolf that, and he ends up like getting chased by the wolf, and then mid wolf chase there's a tiger, and the tiger's like nah fam, and so the wolf clearly backs down because the wolf and the tiger is just bigger, and so then the tiger ends up chasing the guy, but they ended up getting him, so it all worked out in the end. But it was just very intense. And so it's not even like an intense, it's like a funny intense. And so these moments, they feel so long, but I think they're only like 3 minutes. But they feel like they're taking 30 minutes each. I feel like I've been sitting here for a long time, but I've only been sitting here for like an hour, 40 minutes, right? And the funny thing is, it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like episodes, like they put episodes together in a movie. That's what it feels like. Because every time they show me a title screen, it feels like something else. Like a new movie is happening. Or like a new episode is happening, you know? But yeah, now I have 2 hours and 25 minutes to finish, so. Okay, so I have 20 minutes left, but I needed to stop it because there was just so much going on, right? So we have Jenny, who is in the house with the governor. Don't know what her relation is to the governor. I feel like, oh, not the governor. Yeah, no, the governor. I feel like she's like a sister or something in law. There's a whole bunch of people there for a party or whatever. And, she's into the shepherd, whose name is, don't ask me questions. Anyway, starts with an A. They're dancing and they're doing like, I'm assuming a very traditional dance in India, but it's jivey, like it's boom 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 boom, and it's intense, like he's whipping it literally. And it's fun to watch because it's like this jealous guy who's clearly into Jenny, but Jenny's just not having it. Jenny is into Shepherd. So that's fun to watch. It's always fun to watch somebody who's clearly a jerk lose the person they're interested in, right? Anyway, so throughout the whole like next hour and a half, it's the policeman and the shepherd becoming best friends, and they're both individually still pursuing their purposes, right? So like every time they go into town or whatever, the policeman is looking for the shepherd, who's literally right next to him, and the shepherd is looking for the little girl, who could, the policeman is trying to stop them from getting. And that's their whole friendship is built off a lie, right? And so we just watched that build, and like it's a beautiful friendship. It's almost more than a friendship, right? Like a brotherhood. You can see that they clearly care about each other, and they clearly want to help each other from like a genuine place, but they're both hiding who they are, right? So in the water, the policeman ends up almost catching one of the village people who came with the shepherd to get Malia. That's the little girl who's in the governor's house. So he almost gets caught by the brother, right? Almost gets caught, or the village person almost gets caught. They're calling each other brothers. That's what I'm saying, brother. His name started with like an L. Almost gets caught by the policeman, and so he gets away, obviously. And this is before they rescue the little boy, right? And so this whole time, the policeman is looking for the village person, right? And so he finally finds a village person after realizing that he had paint on his nails, and he saw the paint on the cars, and he realized where the cars were being made. So he gets the person, basically ties them up, beats them with his stick, because his stick, he'd be whipping it. And so he captured him, right? And then meanwhile, the shepherd, Jenny takes the shepherd to her house, or to the governor's house or whatever, and there he finds Malia. And so he's like, I'm gonna come get you tonight. I just can't take you right now. And this girl's sobbing because she's locked in a cage for why? She's out there being literally like an entertainment person, and she's like a toy. They take her out to show her off, and then they put her back in the box. The policeman has the village person, right? And so the village person ends up like trapping some type of rattle poisonous snake situation. Not a rattlesnake, it's some kind of poisonous snake, and then throwing it at the policeman. So the policeman's literally running to the shepherd to save his life. I don't know, maybe just final goodbyes or something for his best friend. And so the shepherd ends up saving his life and telling the policeman the truth. But throughout this part, you can see glimpses of the policeman realizing that the shepherd that his best friend is the shepherd. I see moments where he kind of pauses and he's like, right? Like he's doesn't want to connect the dots, but he's like, wait a second, the math is not mathing, right? And so he finds out, and so right now he's like he's like beating up the box thing again because the shepherd has left to go get Malia with his group. They're down to 3 now. They started with 4, but the brother got caught and beaten up, so now they're down to 3. So he's going to do that after telling the truth to the policeman, and so the policeman is like, I think he's contemplating whether or not to capture his best friend or to just let his best friend do what he's going to do, right? But here's the thing. I think, even though they haven't told me yet, this is just my guess. I think the policeman is trying to become a commissioner so he can take something back to the village to get back to his girl. Because we find out that his girl has been waiting for him for 4 years, because they're both connected via the bracelet they have. And I love couple things, okay? Couple bracelets, necklaces, I love them all. Earrings, all of it. But yeah, so she has a bracelet and he has a bracelet. So they're connected like that. But he's been gone from his village for 4 years. And so I think he's waiting to be a commissioner so he can take something back to be worthy of her, you know? And so I think right now he's contemplating whether or not to turn. If he turns in his best friend, then he gets the commission and he can go back to his girl, which is what I'm guessing. If he doesn't turn in his best friend, then he can't go back to his girl with nothing, right? And so, but that also means that he's failed his commissioner, the governor lady person, governor's wife or whatever. So that can have a different set of ramifications as well. So he's kind of in this like pickle. And I have like 20 minutes left and I'm just like, I truly don't know which one he's going to pick. If there's a way for him to get both, I hope he gets both. Because I'm not angry at him. I don't think he's the bad guy in this story. I just think he's got a lot going on. They're both good guys. And the main guys are both genuinely good guys. Granted, right? The policeman is like in this morally gray situation. But I'm not mad at him. Like to me, the bad guy... There's not necessarily a bad guy in this movie. You know, like a villain. I don't necessarily see a villain in the story. I see 2 friends who are living almost parallel but different lives, right? They both left their village and are hoping to bring something back to their village, right? And so these 2 men found each other through all the chaos of everything else going on in their lives. And that's what a true friend should be, you know? Someone who's kind of like a space where you don't have to stress about everything else. They can just be there, you know? And so it's nice to see like a genuine friendship, but it's also kind of iffy because I'm like, okay, do I want them to find Malia? Because if they find Malia, that means policeman loses, and that means his girl and his village loses, and that means he doesn't get his commission, which he has proven that he has deserved, right? Or do I want the shepherd to win? But if the shepherd wins, he's definitely not getting Jenny. The policeman is definitely about to get jailed or beat up because they're not going to let him come back from this promise, right? But the little girl gets to go back to her village, but not her mama because her mama's dead. So I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm going to go finish it. Okay. I thought I had 30 minutes left. I did not. What happened? Okay, so Shepard thought it was a good idea to rescue Malia from the governor's house, to capture a bunch of animals from the forest, put them in these little cages, drive a truck through their double-gated, technically triple-gated security, and then release all the animals at the same time. I'm not saying it was a bad plan, but I am saying several innocents ended up dead. Okay. And then, because I thought that this was going to be policeman's turn point, it wasn't. Policeman decided to come and beat up his best friend and capture his best friend and get his best friend captured, so that he can get whipped by not 1 but 2 whips and hanged. Almost. Right? Because then we get to the point where sorry, my dog decided to have a good time. So yeah, so he comes and beats him up, captures him, da 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 da. We find out policeman's backstory. So he comes from a village that was basically shot up by a group of British men when he was a kid. And so his dad, who was the village leader, it seems like, told him that he has to get guns for every member of the village and basically protect them. So this is a 15-year training montage for him. We didn't see the montage, but this is just a backstory. So he's undercover as a police officer, right? So at the last minute, which honestly might be too little too late, right? He decides that he's going to save his best friend that he just beat with a whip and technically also dragged and technically allowed to be hit multiple times with several other sticks. Um, and so he hatches this plan to release the shepherd from being hanged and rescue Malia, right? So yay, he does all that, but boo, he gets captured. We did all of this for you to get captured. What? And the movie's still not. I got a solid 30 more minutes, 35 more minutes. This is the longest, most event. This thing is not one movie. It's like 4 movies in one. I'm watching like 2 seasons in one movie right now. It's in. It's insane. It's so good though. Here's the thing though, if you decide to watch it, I wouldn't watch it with the subtitles because I'm hearing the English subs and then reading different words and it's kind of throwing me off slightly. So don't watch it with the subtitles. Or if you do the subtitles, do the original audio because it's all over the place if you don't already speak Hindi. And so basically a cool thing that I'm noticing too is like they keep putting like these mini music videos in here. So he'll sing like these, some of them which are songs, but some of them feel like spirituals, of some form or another. And they'll have this like moment of like just, it feels like it's singular moment. You know, like as he's singing or the music's playing, it feels like a singular moment that they kind of just. It happened a couple of times in the first parts, and it happened in this part as well. And technically, the last 2 parts had still been one part, but I needed to pause because there was just so much going on. If I had waited to the end of this movie to tell you what happened in this movie, I would be here all day. I'd be here all day trying to remember what happened in them. It's just so much. Also, the fire and water part, has to do with them as people. Shepherd is the water, and police officer is the fire. Which, you know, when you watch the movie, because trust me, you need to watch this movie. It's really good. When you watch the movie, I see why it's like, it has like all these like awards. It was like the #1 in like some nation for like the longest time. Like it was, I get it. But you'll see why. Like their character traits are kind of fire and water, you know? So it's good to, I think it made sense in my head when I saw it, but I forgot about it because there's just so much other stuff going on. And then we get this like epic fight scene when he released all the animals and policeman miraculously heals from that dangerous, deathly snake bite and to come and capture his friend. And so we see like this water moment where he's like in like on the broken fountain with like all these waters situations, and then we see policeman with like a stick of fire, right, and all these fire situations going on behind him. So it was I mean the animal CGIs, both you can tell CGI and also was like pretty realistic for CGI, I think. But I think just like the animations and the extras of it is chef's kiss. I'm loving it all the way. I think that's all that happened. Okay, so right before, okay. So this whole time, back at policeman's village, he's had a girl, right? I've been mentioning the girl. So she has come to his side of the world to get him because first of all, he's been gone for 4 years. He wrote one letter, and off this one letter, she knew someone was wrong, and she came to get him. And she was like, yeah, I'm coming to get my fiance. What you want to do? And so she meets Shepherd. And so Shepherd's kind of like, ooh, your fiance, bad guy. But not bad guy. Technically, bad guy from a moment. Okay, I'm not even going to kid you. There was a moment where I was like, ooh, bad guy. During that fight scene situation. I really thought he was going to do his turnover there, like I said. But he did his turnover later. So he's back to good guy. But there was a solid section where I was like, ooh, bad guy. But he started turning a leaf when he was like, he had to whip him, right? And so you can see the hesitancy in his face. He still whipped him, so he didn't all the way change up, but he was seeing his true colors, right? And then so after the whipping, he was like, yeah, I need to change. And I was like, yeah, you need to change. So he changed. Yay! But now he's captured. And it's been either weeks or months. I can't remember. Anyway, his hair is all long now. Policeman, his hair is all long and he's captured. So, basically, I'm about to see what Policeman's Girl and Shepard are about to do once, at some point, I'm assuming Shepard tells Policeman's Girl what's going on. So, I'm just gonna, yay. Okay, so apparently, for two best friends, they didn't talk about their past or they made up some kind of story, because it turns out that Policeman's Girl told the Shepard, right, his whole backstory, and he didn't know. And so he had this moment where he was like super sad because, you know, he was just going after Malia? Totally, her name is just not coming to me right now. The little girl, and, you know, policeman was out here trying to start the revolution. So he ended up going to rescue policeman after a very successful, you know, they got that heartbeat, drum beat thing that connects them. So they escape, which, yay, good for them. They ended up killing the governor because, no reason. They just kill him because he's the bad guy. And they kill his wife, which I'm not promoting violence, right? But she had issues. Like, the governor you can excuse because technically it was his job. The wife was just bloodthirsty. Okay, it was not an attractive look on her. And it can be attractive on other people, just not on her. What else happened? Okay, so then, you know, they got the guns. They fulfilled policeman's promise. And so then, you know, I think it's Sheeta. I think Sheeta is Policeman's Girl's name. And so he, you know, the Shepherd gives him back to her, right? And then they end with like this epic Bollywood. It feels like a music video to me. Like, it was just huge. So they were singing about, like, you know, I think it felt like a song about being proud of where they came from, like their roots, right? And so they kept showing what I'm assuming to be were historical heroes who either helped during the British occupancy of India, and they helped free India, or they were people who were just throughout India's history are well known for being revolutionaries. One of the two. Since they didn't mention any names, they only mentioned tribes. I have no idea who these people were. One of them seemed to be Gandhi, but other than that, I have no idea who these people were. So I have no historical or cultural information to back my claims. This is just a guess. That's what it felt like they were doing. And they were hitting it. First of all, this movie had so many action sequences, like at least 4 dances. I mean, the footwork alone, okay? These men were limber and athletic because there's no way, okay, you would get me doing all the exercise. That was so much, okay? The action scenes alone looked exhausting. And then to add in the dancing, and this wasn't just like two-stepping, right? It wasn't just like the waltz. They were jumping. Each move was a jump. A jump dance move is like at least 2 times the effort of a regular dance move, okay? And they did that like 4 times. And it wasn't just like jump to live, jump. It was jump, 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 okay? that was the dance. It was intense. It was intense. It was beautiful to watch, but it was intense. And they've only brought a couple of people back for that last scene, um, for the last scene with the historical figures and stuff. Um, in between the historical figures, we saw the conclusion of their stories. So Shepard got to take Malia, the child, back to her mama, who's not dead. Yay! Because I thought she was dead. She wasn't dead. Good for her. So daughter returns back. Protector returns back to his village. Yay! And policeman goes back to his village with his girl, and the guy who was with him the whole time was undercover before him, brought him in, and so they both get to go back home. Here's my issue, right? During the fight sequence in escaping, when Shepard went to go get policeman and they escaped, policeman had all these cuts, right? And Shepard healed him or whatever. But he healed too quickly. Like, does he have some kind of like mystical ability to heal? Because this is twice now that he has been near deathbed and healed in like 3 seconds, and then coming back fighting like nothing happened. Ooh, but this time he was like, like god of the forest or like god of fire, something. Like his ancestral roots came all up in him, because he started with the shirt and ended with that one for the rest of the movie, okay? And then he was out here bow and arrowing, okay, with some fire and a grenade. He had a bow and an arrow, right? He was like this. And then at the edge, he had a grenade, and he went flick, patrol. Also, I think as Americans, we don't know how to really do a slow-mo in a movie. I don't think we know how to do it properly, because I've seen, but also I think we're lazy in our movie making, and let me tell you why. Because with this movie, right, and then all the Asian dramas I've been watching lately, granted none of them are sci-fi, I get it, but even the Asian dramas, I mean, this is basic rom-com teen dramas, okay? They have sound effects, visual effects, their setup just seems like more for some reason, versus our teen shows. They don't feel like that. They feel not less than, but if I had to compare, we seem a little lazy. Okay? And so this movie alone, granted, this movie, it clearly was a masterpiece. It was legitimately 3 hours long of CGI, animation, slow-mos, action scenes, script, dancing. Granted, there was a lot of silent moments, but the silent moments had fighting, sound effects, explosions, fire, water. Like, we weren't just sitting here. That's for sure. Also, here's another thing. How in the world does Shepard have the strength he has, right? Not only to stop a tiger, it was a tiger, right? Not once, but twice, okay? But he also seems to have the ability to pull cemented poles from the cement and swing them about, and to stop not one, but 2 moving motorcycles and then lift one of them suckers up to throw it. Okay. I'm going to let y'all have that one, because this one was a good movie. So I'm going to let you have, I'm not going to question it, but just know the thought has come up, okay? Also, here's another question. It wasn't really a question. It's more of an observation, right? So during the fight sequence in the forest, when they were like beating 100 men with 2 people and neither of them having guns, and all the people they were fighting had guns. He had a bow and arrow and a spear. Sometimes. We get that fire and water element back, right? Because policeman rose from the fire, okay, and was out here speaking with the power of God or something. I don't know. Or a god or goddess. He has some power. He has some kind of power backing him in that moment, right? And so he had the fire, and then this whole time, first of all, the special forces came up on the Shepard, right? And so he dove into the water to escape the gun, the flaring, and he rose out of the water in the most, I have to say, dramatic water scene this whole movie, okay? And just, first of all, where did he jump from, right? And then 2, how did he get the momentum to leap all the way across the water pond with the spear? I'm gonna let it go because it's not the first time. I didn't say it, but when they were rescuing that boy in part 2, right? Fire, water, something earlier in the movie, they were running underwater. What? Okay, I'm gonna let you have it. I'm going to let them have it because this movie was awesome. It was awesome. It was 3 hours of nonstop entertainment. And it being my first Hindi movie, I'm very excited about it. It's not my first Bollywood movie, but it is my first Hindi movie. So I am very excited about it. Um, like I said before, when you watch it, either do the original language with English subtitles or do um, English audio with no subtitles because the subtitles don't match the audio, and if you're like me, it's gonna kind of throw you off. It was to a point where I didn't cut off the subtitles because I can't hear without subtitles. Um, but it was to the point where I had to actively stop reading them because it wasn't matching and it was making my brain a flutter. Thank you for recommending this movie. It was totally awesome. If you guys have more recommendations, I would love to watch them and talk about them with you because I want it to be an open discussion and let's discover new stuff, open to all except horror. I don't do horror. Horror. I don't do it. I can't do it. I can do suspense. I can sometimes do thriller, but I cannot do it. I'm just not a scary movie person. It's just not who I am. But other than that, I am open to all. I would love to hear about some more movies you guys want to talk about, or shows. I'm open. Yeah, let's do it all. But I think it was all in all a great movie. It was. It really, really was. I recommend it all the way. But that's all for me. If you like this video and you have the time, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.